Yeah. I read that Stereo Gum piece, which was highly informative about the last year or
Rated
two.
R.
Rated R. So it sounded like there's some back and forth mind changes about kind of the sonic direction of Hard Love, but like I just kind of am curious, when are you actually able to sit down and find the time to work on new music?
Actually, I think I spend too much of my time writing songs. I know that sounds stupid, but like I feel as though I started using my identity as a songwriter as an excuse to not interact with the world. And because oftentimes, I would spend like hours and hours in my little room, and writing for me, I swing at like 1,000 pitches and I hit one, maybe, and sometimes not even. So what I ended up doing is it was like an obsession of like, well, I'm not doing my job unless I do it all the time. Mm-hmm. And so it was almost good for me to take a break. Like for the past, I haven't really written anything, which is weird for me, in months at this point. And even with Hard Love, I have like two, like hard drive after hard drive of just like, just endless song ideas and half finished songs. And, it was just it was cool to do all of them, but I think I just like melted my brain a little bit with like, I overdid it.
Okay. Well, that seems to make sense. I mean, as a baseball fan, I like the swinging at 1,000 pitch metaphor.
Yeah.
So
I don't know anything else about baseball. I do feel kind of cool that I kind of have a baseball metaphor.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we'll talk about the record a little bit. I mean, as a listener, Heel was kind of more like introspective, kind of, for me at least, kind of hanging out at home, where
for sure
Hard Love is like kind of seeming like a windows down, music blasting, like kind of rock and roll record. And I know you mentioned about wanting to get the kind of sweat and energy of those classic rock albums. I mean, how conscious were you when you're in the studio of like conscious of like the vibes of like the listener?
It was like, I think if you look at like a pie chart or whatever, it was like 99.9% vibe, 0.1% execution. Like, of like meticulous preparation or whatever. Like that was like 0.001% of the purpose of the of the recording for it. Like everything was just meant around like not doing anything correctly. Like we did so many things wrong in the studio, and I love it. Like we would just like, we would look at each other, Nicholas, the producer, and I'd be like, hey, do you want to turn up this organ way too loud? I was like, yes. Like, turn it up way too loud. I don't know why. It just sounds really cool because it sounds broken. Like, yeah, let's turn it up too loud. And he's like, would you rather sing on this like Frank Sinatra German super expensive microphone or sing out of this $50 broken, microphone? I was like, let's sing out of the $50 one.
Yeah,
I think it'll be better. And I'll just dance around with like the music going. Like, yeah, I mean that's if you want to get me super excited, it's just asking about even like this shit gets dark on the record. Obviously,
mm-hmm.
Like
yeah.
It's not all a party,
mm-hmm.
but just like the point of the record was not to think like, oh, I got to have the perfect overdub for this, or it's not gonna like. I don't think fucking Mick Jagger and Keith Richards like labored over like it's not perfect yet for Brown Sugar. Like it's not perfect. Like no, like play it. It feels good. Let's move on. Fine.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm reading a Keith Richards book right now, so like I kind of I'm in that same mindset. So I like that.
And like I use that word a lot, and it's like we're facing like, I don't want to be honest, we're facing a pretty sterile time in what rock music is at this point. Mm-hmm. And it's weird that like I wanted to make a record that was the opposite of like, air pop friendly radio music. Like I was like, I want to make the sweatiest, dirtiest, like filthiest, sounding like I just wanted to, I kept saying I want this to be sweaty. Like I want to think about like Bobby Keys or whatever playing a saxophone solo and just being like, like on the verge of like passing out after it or whatever. Like that's what I'm interested in.
Totally. Like I couldn't hear the beer cans rattling, but I kind of visualized that when I listened.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And you know, I think it was, and maybe it was selfish. It was a lot for me because I never had so much fun in a studio before.
Oh, good.
And you know, and that's and I wanted that to translate to like, I wanted to translate to the listener because I was like, man, I owe my listeners a good time after Heal. Like, Heal was a journey. I gotta give them at least a few moments of like, oh, good, I'm not reading Tim's journal or something. Like, I can like take a break and like have a good time, put a song on at a party or something.
That's funny, man. Well, appreciate it for sure. Is Rest of It like the most purely fun song you've ever written, probably? Like to kind of go along? Yeah, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear it in the studio. Like that's not like planned. That's just like 7 of us screaming and like hitting tambourines and stuff. Like it was like, and the guitar solo, my friend Jason, who's in my band now, played that solo. That was like the first take, and he played that solo because people were like, oh, well, Tim's the kind of, it was right at the beginning, and like Tim's like the guy that shreds and like Jason will do whatever. And then I kind of played a solo that was pretty mediocre, like kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
And then Nicholas, the producer, was like, Jason, you want to try a solo? He's like, oh, I don't have anything written. We'll just try to do something. And that's what you hear on the record, like the single greatest shred. I can brag about that shred because it's not me doing it, but it's like, that's one of the greatest guitar solos written in like the past 20 years that he just did off the cuff.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
Quickly, my solo kind of vanished into the layers of Pro Tools, so went into the trash bin pretty quickly.
Oh, that's funny. I might be much into this, but I've kind of noticed, like, you know, listen over and over. There's like, you know, there's some similar sonic themes, but like there's a change in tone, kind of like a confidence. And I was wondering if that like confidence kind of has bled over into like the live show. I mean, I don't know how long you've been touring the new stuff, but
I think it's going to begin to. Like I feel, and part of my confidence is just stepping back a little bit and being like, you don't have to do stuff all the time. Like I learned that from when I was there's my wife starting up our car. Our car's broken. It's so loud. Like I learned that from opening, I think especially from opening for My Morning Jacket and just seeing like, oh man, there's a lot of space in this music. Like there doesn't have, like, I think for the Heal tour, it was my mindset too, but it felt like we were at 10 all the time. Like constantly at the loudest volume we could play, which I enjoy, but if you're at the loudest volume all the time, then it's not loud anymore.
Right.
I just think, like, you know, that's what I'm most excited about, of just stretching and stretching our legs of, you know, like, and my drummer and I are talking about all the time of just like, we don't have to think about songs ending. They should just end when they end, or how to start songs. And, you know, I'm going to bat for this band because I got to see Phish for the first time this summer.
Oh yeah.
And I saw him at Wrigley Field, and I never had an opinion on them, like good or bad. And I saw the show and I was like, this feels so awesome. Like I've been like a closeted jam band fan my whole life and didn't even know it. And like I took a lot from just how they listen to one another. Yeah. And I think a lot of, like, I go to a lot of like so-called whatever this genre is anymore of indie rock, and I'm like, man, this is like, are they even having fun up there? Like, what am I watching right now? Like, this feels like a chore to them and the audience. And, you know, and then you see like Jim James, like carousing around the stage like some prophet. And I'm like, now this is fun. This is like, Carl is into this shit right now. Like, you know, Patrick needs like 3 showers over the course of a show. Like, it's fucking the best. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. I don't want to be some shoegazing, like, precious person on stage. Like, nobody wants to see that. Maybe they do if they live boring lives, but like, most of my fans don't. They're down for like an experience, and I want to kind of share that with them.
I'm so glad you say that. My Morning Jacket's like one of my favorite bands, and like Jim James. And I actually saw you when you opened in Seattle. I think it was the Moore Theater.
At the Moore?
Yeah.
Oh shit, those were fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun. And actually, to what you were saying, like I did notice kind of a change in your set. Even like I think I saw you back in Alabama, that Hangout Festival. I think I saw
Yeah,
just a couple of songs there, and then I saw you again at the Moore, and I was like, damn, he like stretched it out. Like this is
yeah.
sick.
And that's just the beginning. Like, I think as far as like the tour, like I've never been, I don't know how to say this correctly. Like, I've never been like, I always loved playing live, but this is like the first time like I'm excited to be like a musician
Hmm.
and like try and better myself every night and not just play the songs and be loud. And like, I think I'm going to be a lot happier as a person if I get filled up by the shows
Hmm.
and like feel really satisfied with playing like different kind of shows, different kind of sets. And maybe I don't need to have more Stereo Gummer articles like that anymore. Like maybe I can just take a hot bath and go to sleep instead of like being like, I have so many more holes to fill in my life. Like, no, I'm so empty. Like, I want to walk off stage after like an hour and a half, 2 hours and be like, I'm done for the day. Like, I feel like I could seal up this day and send it home.
That's awesome. Do you I mean, speaking of that, kind of changing like, your set and, the emotion of it, like does a song like Cry ever find its way into a set list?
Oh yeah.
On the
Because I
piano?
think yeah, we're going to have a piano.
Oh, nice.
And I have a piano of it. And I also have like a lilac wine Jeff Buckley version of it that I've been messing around. So it could kind of morph into either one, as the night goes, or maybe we find a way to get the whole band involved. But I think it's important to have moments in a set where like you don't like, it's not like the intensity drops at all.
Mm-hmm.
It just becomes a different listening experience. And like we do these shows every year now at a club in Philly where we do like multiple nights,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just me and my friend Jason playing. And like it's no drums, but it's real stripped down.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, like I thought we were going to ask too much of the audience, but it turned out to be like some of the best shows ever. Like we did like JM, like 17-minute version of just like the two of us just kind of playing off one another, and it got heady and deep, and like it was, and that was so informative of like how we want to do these. Just feel the night out more, of not having like a set. Like that's so boring for everybody. It's like, I know they're going to close with JM. Like I know they're going to play that song last. Like, and now it's like, we may not even play JM tonight, or we might play it at the beginning, and start the set off with the 20-minute jam. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to know. And I look at bands like, I've heard like legends of like how Pearl Jam does like a set list,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like it could be anything, like absolutely anything, and I think the fans deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they totally deserve that. Like, especially if you're doing a few nights in a city, like, man, it's going to be better for everybody to keep it interesting. And I want to play, like, obviously I want people to walk away and feel like they, heard everything they wanted to, but also like maybe they walk away and be like, holy shit, like this is the only time they might ever do that.
Yeah.
Like that might be just tonight that they do that song that way, or they segue into this song, and I think that's so much more special for everybody.
I think sometimes that's more important than like hearing your favorite song, even like having taken away like something unique that like, your fans in the next city may not get. Or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, again, I'm so new to Phish, but like when I saw them at Wrigley, they played Fluffhead, and I don't think they played that song in 9 years or something. Like, I'll get the Phish boards will get on me for that. But actually, it was 325 shows they haven't played. But, it was like something of like, and it's one of their most known songs. And they just were like, I don't know, we're not feeling it. But for some reason in Chicago in the middle of summer, we're feeling this song. So it's pretty badass how that stuff works.
I totally agree. And living in Seattle, I feel like I'm not properly baptized or something, but I have never seen Pearl Jam, but like there's so much legend of them here, and I work at a music records shop, and some of the guys come in from time to time. There's like so much legend around it. and like it is kind of cool.
Yeah, my manager's a giant fan. He went to see what shows did they play at Seattle recently?
They haven't played in a couple of years, but they did like 3 nights at Key Arena or something.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and he was at those, and he was just like, dude, it's ridiculous. Like, yeah, I just let's give people more than just the status quo. And what I tell my band is too, I'm like, guys, I would rather you completely fuck up, like completely get so lost that we can't get back out of something than playing a song exactly the same way every night. Like, I am going to praise the mistakes over the ordinary at this point. And, you know, I just, maybe it's because I got kind of bored on the heel tour. I was like, man, what are we doing? We can be better than this, and you know, and be better for the fans. And it's just it's exciting because, you know, I leave Wednesday and we start touring, and like we purposely haven't practiced that much because it's like we know the songs, we know the fucking chord changes, like we've got those. It's not hard. It's not Rush. Like, this isn't difficult music in theory, but we need to make it, you know, even though it's only like a few chords, we need to make those chords. There's a lot of spirit in those chords, and we got to make those like work and work differently and grow.
Mm-hmm. You kind of touched on it. I was going to ask if there's like songs that you like, either Heel or Hard Love or just anything, you know, songs that you weren't exactly stoked on at the time and now you love it, or songs that you loved at the time and now you're bored of, like just kind of the
I think, well, it's really like there's always a potential that a song can, you know, from night to night that I'm like, I cannot hear Goshen ever again. I can't hear this song. But it's like, I love playing it still, you know, and it's, you know, there might be something new we find. But what I really like is when, on the new record, like the few times we played live, like on the record, this song Salt Brothers is really like, you know, it's very ominous and like, you know, it has this vibe to it, but live it's taken on even the 3 times we played it, it's like become my favorite song to play live. I'm like, Jesus, where does this come from? Like, and playing it live, it's like, it's like going to turn into this like complete jam that I didn't know a jam lived in that song until we were able to play it live and maybe hear how like the waltz beat interacts with the audience and stuff. It's just I mean, that's what's so exciting to me.
Yeah, I mean, but you kind of mentioned the audience and then you know, kind of changing your sets, but I mean, you've probably played every single festival at this point. I mean, besides the obvious differences of like crowds and weird set times and stuff, like do you have any like fundamental approach differences between a festival and a club set, or are you just in this new mode where it's like, you know, we'll see what happens tonight?
That's a good question. Like, festivals are, you know, obviously for a band of my size, like you're pretty much going to play 45 minutes. You know, like that's kind of what until you get to like headliner status. Yeah. I think all bands kind of have that. So it's like, it's a challenge. It's a different kind of challenge, but it's a fun challenge to be like, you know, and it's festivals are so fluid with audiences that it's not like a stationary show. Like, it's not like playing it's not like playing Numos and being like, all right, this is the night. Like, everybody's in the room. Like, but for festival, it's like, you know, there might be people who are just catching you on your 4th song in.
Totally,
and, you know, it's more of like, what are you going to get out of this? You know, if you know, you might have to go run and watch whoever's going on next. And it's, you know, it's fun. Like, we kind of have a purpose plan this year we're doing a few festivals, but we kind of want to save festivals for 2018. So like we get our headline thing down, and then by the time festivals go around next year, we're so ready to hit those and like have a confidence in our stage show and whatnot that it's like it's on. Like when they start going, like, it'll be on.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It's hard to play a probably 17-minute version of JM, you know, when you have
Very
45.
hard.
Yeah.
Well, and now the problem is like that last song that I got, Taking Acid, is like, I mean, we can't play that shorter than 20 minutes now. Like, I don't even know. Like, it takes me like the intro is like 10 minutes just because I really love. I find like I might find a solo or some kind of idea, and I just want to go with it. So it'll be, I mean, and who knows? We might play like a late night set at Bonnaroo and be like, man, people are in it. Like,
True.
we're gonna do this one for heads only. Like, this is gonna go fucking deep tonight.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's like what 8 minutes on the record, and I mean, I even kind of get lost in it. Like, I'm like, what is this again?
Yeah.
I look, it's like 4 minutes in. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, and even on the record, it was difficult because, that jam is like, I think that's just a snippet of what the actual song was, because we did it live together,
Mm-hmm.
and we just kind of kept taping. So probably there's a version somewhere that's like 25 minutes, but we just kind of found, we just took this long thing and found like that 8-minute section that really worked, and kind of took it from there.
Nice. Once you're, at co-headlining with Phish, you can bust into that one.
Oh yeah, man! There's this festival Lock-In that I want to play really bad.
Oh, I've heard of that. Is that in Europe?
It's in America. I'm not sure. I think it's Virginia or something. But it's like there's not a lot of bands playing, and it's just like there'll be a lot of bands doing like 2 sets. Like My Morning Jack did like 2 sets over the course of a weekend, which is so cool to think about. And like they say that festival is like, kind of what festivals, like what Bonnaroo was like in the first 5 years.
Oh, right.
Of it. Just, really. And I'm down for anything because I think we're a band that works well with festivals because we got like, we kind of sound the same in clubs as we do in bigger spaces. Like, because I think a lot of my songs, especially the newer ones, kind of, for some reason, I write them for like the back of the room instead of the first 2 rows, which was like my well, in a lot of shows we still only have 2 rows, but
yeah.
Like I always perceive every set being like Madison Square Garden in my own weird mind. But yeah, I mean we festivals, I like really just pushing outward as far as we can.